Hey guys, what's good? It's Marshall Mathers here, back to you today with another video. And in today's video, I will be talking about the fact that I wish Eminem would have released his Slim Shady EP on December 15 in the year 1996. And before I start out this video, I just want to say that the video I made previous to this video, which was titled I Wish Eminem's Underground debut album Infinite would have been released on November 12 in the year 1995, just a year earlier, but still on the same month and day he did release it. The reason why I said in that video that I wish Eminem would have released his underground debut hip-hop rap album Infinite on November 12 in the year 1995 at the age of 23 instead of in 1996 at the age of 24 is because that way he could have released his Slim Shady EP a year earlier than when he actually did. And when he actually did was on December 15 in the year 1997 when he was 25 years old. But I myself personally would have much rather preferred it if he would have released his Slim Shady EP on December 15 in the year 1996, just 1 year earlier than when he actually did, but still on the same month and day that he did. Because that way, not only would he have been a year younger, instead of 25 being only 24, but also he would have still been in his early 20s. And I wish more than anything he would have still been in his early 20s when he released his Slim Shady EP. I mean, in my opinion, that would have just been so fucking dope. And I really wish that would have been the reality of things, and I'm really pissed that he didn't release his Infinite album in the year 1995 instead of 1996, because that way he could have released his Slim Shady EP in the year 1996 instead of 1997, the year I would have strongly preferred him to have released his Slim Shady EP. And I will say that also the main reason why I personally wish Eminem would have released his Slim Shady EP, which is the project that even got him discovered first by Jimmy Iovine and then Dr. Dre. The reason why I feel like it would have just been literally perfect if Eminem would have released his Slim Shady EP on December 15, but in the year 1996 instead of 1997, at the age of only 24 instead of 25, is because in the year 1996, specifically March 22, 1996, Dr. Dre himself founded his own rap record label company, being obviously Aftermath Records. And at the time, Dr. Dre was only 31 years old. And how awesome and just how incredible would it have been if the same year Dr. Dre would have founded his record label company, being Aftermath Records, on March 22 in the year 1996, when Dr. Dre himself was only 31 years old. If the same year, not on the same month or day, but the same exact year that Dr. Dre founded his own record label company, that Eminem would have released his Slim Shady EP project. I just honestly feel like that would have been so amazing. And instead of Eminem being signed and discovered by Dr. Dre on March 9, 1998, on the 1 year anniversary of Biggie Smalls' death, because Biggie Smalls, the rapper, or Notorious Big, was shot and murdered on March 9 in the year 1997 when he was only 24 years old, Biggie Smalls himself. And on the 1 year anniversary, which was March 9 in the year 1998, when Eminem was 25 years old and Dr. Dre at the time 33, Dr. Dre found, discovered, and signed Eminem officially to his Aftermath rap record label company. just 3 months after he released his Slim Shady EP project. But just think of how much cooler it would have been if Eminem would have released his Slim Shady EP on December 15 in the year 1996 at the age of 24 instead of December 15, 1997 at the age of 25. This way, Eminem would have been discovered and signed by Dr. Dre on the same day of the same month and year that Notorious Big would have been murdered. And Eminem, instead of being 25 years old and Dr. Dre being 33, when being signed, Eminem would have only been 24 years old and Dr. Dre himself would have only been 32. And I just think it would have been so much better also if Dr. Dre didn't have to wait like pretty much 2 years after founding his own rap record label company, and just only a year later. I just feel like that would have been so much more convenient, especially for Dr. Dre and even for Eminem too, because this way Eminem would have became famous younger. As young as I wish he would have became famous, being 24, but don't release his Slim Shady LP until the age of 25. And I plan to make a video on the month, day, and year that I wish personally that he would have released that project of his major label debut hip-hop rap album after this video. But anyway, I just honestly am so pissed the fuck off that Eminem didn't release his Slim Shady EP on December 15 in the year 1996, while he would have been only 24 years old and still in his early 20s, not even in his mid-20s yet, not even 25, but still in his early 20s, and also the same year that Dr. Dre would have founded his own rap record label company. That would have just been the coolest fucking thing ever, and it would have been both convenient for Dr. Dre, so he wouldn't have to have waited so long, or as long as he had to wait to find his first rapper to sign officially to his rap record label company, being Eminem, but also convenient for Eminem because this way he would have been discovered and signed a whole year younger and at a younger age, instead of 25 being only 24, instead of Dr. Dre being 33 when he would have signed Eminem, he would have only been 32 years old. I mean, that would have just been so great. And I'm just so crushed that Eminem didn't release his Slim Shady EP on December 15 in the year 1996, not 1997, which was the year he actually did release it. And the sad thing is that obviously Eminem would have released his Slim Shady EP in the year 1996, but still on the same month and day that he did, being December 15, if he would have released his Damn Infinite album instead of in the year 1996 like he actually did, which was really stupid. But if he would have released it a year earlier, just 1 year earlier in 1995 instead of 1996, and at the age of 23 instead of 24, he could have then released his Slim Shady EP in the year 1996 instead of 1997. And this way also, both his Infinite album and his Slim Shady EP project would have both been released and came out while he would have been in his early 20s, instead of his Infinite album being the only album of his that came out while he was in his early 20s. Both of those, his Infinite album and his Slim Shady EP project, could have both and should have both came out in his early 20s. And like I said, I would honestly be surprised if none of you agree with me on the fact that it would have just made so much more logical sense for Eminem to have released his Slim Shady EP project the same year that Dr. Dre would have founded his own rap record label company, Aftermath Records. Also because Dr. Dre was the only rapper who was willing to look past Eminem's skin color and past the fact that Eminem, instead of being a black guy, which Dr. Dre even thought he was at first until he met him in person, he was also the only rapper who was willing to risk his career of signing like the first biggest white rapper ever. And if it weren't for Eminem ever becoming famous in the first place, I mean, no white rappers would probably have ever been able to become famous. I mean, he paved the way for other white rappers to come into the rap game and even be allowed and accepted and appreciated, instead of it only just being black rappers, which it still predominantly is, and I hope it always will be, because it's mainly their music anyways. But also, I feel like because of Eminem, rap has become as like big and universal as it is. Like, you don't just have black rappers or white rappers, but you also have some Mexican rappers and some Asian rappers and whatnot, and maybe even some Muslim rappers and shit like that. So it's just really great that Eminem was able to become famous. I just am so pissed off that he didn't become famous as young as I wish he would have, which isn't even that much younger than when he actually did. I'm just still pissed because, I mean, to me, this is extremely aggravating because of the fact that Eminem could have released his Slim Shady EP in the year 1996, on December 15 in the year 1996, specifically at the age of only 24 instead of in 1997 when he was 25, because, I mean, it would have just made so much sense, and I would have loved it if when he would have been signed to Dr. Dre's Aftermath record label company, if he would have only been 24 years old instead of 25, and Dr. Dre only 32 years old instead of 33. Because honestly, it's just also really unfair that Eminem, compared to honestly most other rappers, didn't become famous that young. I mean, think of someone like Tupac, who was able to release his debut album, Tupacalypse Now, in the year 1991 at the age of only 20 fucking years old. And, oh, how about Biggie Smalls, or the Notorious Big, who was able to release his debut album in the year 1994 when he was only 22 years old. Think of Ice Cube, who was able to release his debut album in 1991, or no, not 1991, 1990, I'm sorry, America's Most Wanted, when he was 21 years old. And it's just like so annoying that so many rappers, I feel like most honestly, are able to release their rap albums from like age 20 to like 24 years old. And you're telling me that Eminem could not have at least released his major label debut album, the Slim Shady LP, at the age of only 25 instead of 26? Because that's how young, and even that's how old even, I wish Eminem would have been when he released his Slim Shady LP album. Like, I don't wish he would have been 26, like the age he actually was at when he released that album of his. I think that at the youngest he should have been, and also oldest, he should have only been 25. 25 years old when releasing that album of his. And it honestly just pisses me off that Eminem didn't become famous that young. I mean, he really didn't. If you think about it, at the end of the day, most rappers are able to become famous way younger. Like, also think about how a lot of rappers become famous when they're literally teenagers. I mean, look at Lil Wayne. He became famous when he was like a teenager. And I'm sure a lot of other rappers do too. And it just makes me furious that someone like Eminem could not have at least got discovered and signed when he was only 24 and released his Slim Shady LP album at the age of 25 instead of 26. It just pisses me off. And you know what aggravates me the most about this is the fact that if Eminem would have released his Infinite album, his underground debut hip-hop rap album, in the year 1995 instead of 1996, and instead of at the age of 24, only at the age of 23 years old, he could have then easily released his Slim Shady EP in the year 1996, on December 15, 1996, at the age of only 24 years old. And both his Infinite album and his Slim Shady EP project were released 1 year apart. Literally just 1 year apart. Not 2, not 3, just literally 1 year apart. And honest to God, his Slim Shady EP project should have came out in 1996. I don't care what any of you say, because at the end of the day, none of you are going to change my mind or my belief or opinion on the fact that I strongly feel and believe that Eminem's Slim Shady EP project should have been released in the year 1996 instead of 1997, and at the age of only 24 instead of 25. And it just is so aggravating to me. I mean, I don't know about how any of you feel, but me personally, I find this extremely aggravating, frustrating, annoying, and irritating that he could have easily released his Slim Shady EP project in the year 1996, specifically December 15, 1996, at the age of only 24, instead of December 15, 1997, at the age of 25, if he would have just released his Infinite album 1 year earlier. Just 1 year, that's all it would have taken. Just 1 year. I mean, I just am so pissed off that Eminem didn't release or think to release his Infinite album in the year 1995. On November 12, 1995, when he would have only been 23 years old. A whole year younger than how old he actually was when he released it, which was 24. Because he should not have been 24 when releasing that album of his. He should have only been 23 years old. He should have only been 23. And that album, instead of being a 1996 rap album, it should have been, without a doubt, a 1995 released rap album. And like I said, it would have been so much better and greater if Eminem's Slim Shady EP project would have came out in the year 1996, on December 15, 1996, when Eminem himself would have only been 24 years old. And obviously, like, all the songs on it, some of which would have went over to the Slim Shady LP, it would have been so much better and greater, because the same year that Dr. Dre would have founded his own rap record label company, being Aftermath Records, on March 22, 1996, when Dr. Dre himself was only 31 years old, still fairly young, it would have just been so much better and greater if the same year, the same exact year, 1996, that Eminem would have and should have dropped and released his Slim Shady EP on December 15, 1996, at the age of only 24. And that way he could have been discovered on March 9 in the year 1997 at the age of only 24, and Dr. Dre would have only been 32 then. And in this way also, Dr. Dre would not have had to wait as long to find a rap artist to officially sign to his Aftermath rap record label company. It would have both been convenient for Dr. Dre to not have had to wait as long as he did, and it would have been convenient for Eminem, because then he could have became famous a year younger than he actually did, and he could have released his Slim Shady LP at the age of 25 instead of 26. The age I wish he would have been when releasing that album of his. But anyway, let me know what you all think in the comment section down below. I'm out.